Executive Summary. The Plant Paradox by Dr. Stephen R. Grundry exposes the hidden dangers in plants and animal meat that are making people fat and sick. The book goes beyond textbook explanations of key substances and ingredients in foods recommended in the standard American diet. It introduces the highly toxic plant-based protein called lectin and how it destroys the equilibrium in the gut flora, the bacteria and other organisms that live inside the intestines, thereby paving the way for bad bacteria to infiltrate the body. The aim of the book is to educate people about foods that are commonly regarded as healthy, but are actually designed by nature and evolution to harm people that consume them. What's alarming is that foods that fall under this category are included in several dietary regimens whose goal is to achieve optimum health and wellness. This is a book written for people to understand why they're not losing weight, despite their best efforts. It's also for patients who are diagnosed with diabetes, cancer, and autoimmune diseases, so that they can better understand the diseases that plague them and find the right solution to reverse their effects. It's not written to favor one diet regimen over another, but to illuminate the dangers that lurk in seemingly healthy foods. It's not a miracle cure that immediately takes effect, but a gradual progression that involves learning about one's body and how it reacts to certain foods. It's a journey and not a race to the finish line. Through the Plant Paradox program, Dr. Grundry hopes to debunk myths, explain the true nature of plants, and expose the agricultural and industrial practices that are causing more harm than good. It offers a solution by providing substitute ingredients, teaching detox processes, developing lectin-free recipes, and showing how to enjoy plant-based meals. Part 1. The Dietary Dilemma. Chapter 1. The War Between Plants and Animals. For hundreds of millions of years, plant foods are consumed to nourish the body. They're regarded as healthy foods that can sustain the body's nutritional requirements. They provide an abundance of nutrients that allow the body to live and thrive. Anyone who refutes the healing and nurturing properties of plants would most likely find themselves in the minority. After all, edible plants are packed with vitamins and minerals. It would be unthinkable to consider plants as enemies. Perhaps this is because it's hard to imagine that plants have their own defense mechanisms against humans and animals that are out to eat them. Plants don't just grow and await their fate. They also resist. The Plant Paradox program has been in existence for over 15 years. The bedrock of the program is the consumption of the right plant foods. To better appreciate the program, there's a need for a re-education about fruits and vegetables. A surprising revelation from the program is that the reduction in the consumption of certain fruits and vegetables from an individual's diet contributed to a better health profile. Kidney function and cholesterol markers have improved dramatically. This goes against a commonly held belief that plant foods are good for the body. Therein lies the paradox. The contradiction can be easier to fathom if one is willing to unlearn and forget common beliefs about plant foods. It requires a shift in thinking, and it starts in changing the way plants are perceived. Plants have always been considered as a harmless source of nourishment. There's this notion that they're generally safe to consume. They give sustenance, so they couldn't be considered enemies. However, plants, like every living thing, possess survival instincts. This means that plants treat plant eaters as enemies, and they have a built-in defense system to prevent plant eaters from devouring them and their offspring. The defense system comes in the form of substances released by plants that are harmful to plant eaters, such as animals and humans. One shining example of this is gluten. It's a plant component that wreaks havoc to the body, causing health problems to people who don't have the capacity to process it properly. It's the reason for the emergence of the gluten-free movement all over the world. Another example is lectin, which is problematic for some people. The reality is that plants don't want to get eaten, and they discourage plant eaters from doing so. Their goal is to propagate their species, much like the humans. So they protect themselves and their offspring from predators. In the animal world, the predator versus prey system is easy to understand. When the predator attacks, the prey runs. Outrunning the predator is a survival instinct that animals share with humans. When the prey is an immobile plant, running is not an option. That is not to say plants are helpless and powerless to ward off their prey. They have evolved and developed an assortment of defensive strategies to protect themselves and safeguard their little seeds. Some plants have the ability to camouflage and blend into their surroundings through their color. They have an array of physical deterrents to keep insects, animals, and humans at bay. Some plants release sticky substances like saps and resins to entangle insects, while others use their natural hard outer coating as protection, like coconut and artichoke. There are also plants that use their texture so that they're unpleasant to eat. These are just a few examples of aggressive tactics to deter plant eaters. On the subtler side of defensive strategies, plants use biological warfare against predators. They poison, paralyze, or disorient using the natural chemicals in their composition. Plants predate plant eaters. In fact, insects who feast on plants and seeds arrived 90 years after plants appeared 450 million years ago. Insects became the first predators that threatened the existence of plants. Plants evolved to develop lectins that they used to paralyze the insects that fed on them. The same thing holds true in the present day. Although there's a huge difference in size between insects and mammals, both are susceptible to the same effects. Humans may not immediately be paralyzed within minutes of consuming lectin, but they're certainly not immune to the long-term effects. Lectins have the potential to kill people who have an extreme reaction upon ingestion. An example would be a peanut allergy. Peanuts are high in lectins, so consuming it can be fatal to those who are extremely allergic. It may not be obvious, but plants are master manipulators. Seeds are actually the babies of the plants. It's safe to say that they are plants in the making. Their potential to become full-grown plants is threatened each day. There are more seeds being produced than will ever take root due to numerous reasons. There are actually two types of seeds. One that plants want predators to eat, and the other is the naked seeds. Those seeds that plants willingly give to the predators are encased in hard shell or coating so that they can pass through the gastrointestinal (GI) tract unscathed. They'll remain intact because they're protected. When they emerge from the animal mixed with excrement, they have a chance to sprout and become plants themselves. This is why plants willingly feed them to animals. In fact, they want the protected seeds to be attractive to animals to encourage them to eat it. In addition, animals, being mobile, also help the plant cover more geographical area. Be that as it may, plants will only allow their seeds to be eaten when their protective coverings are completely hardened. Otherwise, the plants will send signals by increasing toxin levels to make it more obvious that the seed is not yet ready for consumption. Plants use color to communicate to plant eaters that their fruit is ready for harvest or not. They'll only give the go signal when they're sure that the mature seed hull has completely hardened, so it can go through the digestive tract unharmed. Green means it's not yet ready, and red or yellow means it's good to go. If a fruit is harvested while it's still unripe, the lectin content is high. But when it's allowed to ripen naturally, the plant reduces the lectin content in the fruit and skin. Fruits that are picked before they're ready and given the ethylene oxide treatment to make them look ripe still have high lectin content. Humans can fool other humans, but plants know better. On the other hand, the naked seeds, or naked babies, do not have the same protection, so they're more vulnerable. Plants don't want their naked babies to be eaten. Plants that grow in the open fields are already in their fertile spot, so they want their naked seeds to take root there when the time comes for the plants to die off. This happens in the winter when plants succumb to the cold weather and thick snow. The seeds are expected to sprout to replace the plants the following season. Without hard coats and casings, the naked seeds are vulnerable to insects, animals, and humans. But it doesn't mean they don't have a defense system in place. To discourage predators, the naked seeds have to use one or more chemicals to weaken their predators by making them sick. The idea is to teach them a lesson so that they won't attempt to make the same mistake again. The chemicals in seeds include phytates or antinutrients, trypsin inhibitors, and lectins. Phytates prevent the absorption of minerals in the diet, which can cause nutritional deficiency. Trypsin inhibitors interfere with the digestive enzymes and prevent it from working properly. Lectins disrupt the cellular communications, thus causing gaps in the intestinal wall barrier. These defensive substances are present in whole grains. They can be found in the husk, bran, and fibrous hull. Other weapons in the biowarfare arsenal are tannins and alkaloids. Tannins are responsible for giving plants a bitter taste. Alkaloids, on the other hand, are highly inflammatory. They're found in stems and leaves of the nightshade family, including tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, etc. They're also found in beans, legumes, and goji berries. All these defensive tactics reveal what plants are capable of plotting against those that threaten their existence. It might seem a little far-fetched, but from an evolutionary and survival standpoint, it makes a whole lot of sense. Besides, research studies show that plants know when they're being eaten, and they consequently increase the production of their toxins to stop and deter their predators. What's even more fascinating is that plants respond to circadian rhythms. Plants unleash insecticides at a particular time of day that coincides with the time the predator is likely to attack. Among all the substances emitted by plants when they're threatened, lectins are particularly harmful to humans. Lectins are large proteins found in both plants and animals. Plants use them as a lethal weapon to defend themselves against predators, especially humans. Lectins were discovered in 1884, but have not yet achieved the celebrity status of their equally notorious sibling, gluten. Lectins bind to complex sugars and sialic acid, which can be found in the brain, the gut, nerve endings, joints, and blood vessel linings. This binding process disrupts messaging between cells and causes toxic and inflammatory reactions. Those who are more sensitive to lectins are much more vulnerable to viruses and bacterial infections. Aside from the potential health risks, lectins can also cause weight gain. In fact, wheat carries weight-gaining propensity because of the lectin called wheat germ agglutinin, WGA. It was consumed in the ancient times when food was scarce. The same effect of lectin holds true to this day. However, ancient humans were better at dealing with the problem brought on by lectins. Modern humans, instead of completely avoiding the effects of lectin, would invent something to fight the symptoms, so they can continue to consume the very substance designed to cause pain and weakness. It's a vicious cycle, too. Since humans feed lectin-rich plants to cows, pigs, and poultry to help them gain weight, they're also getting sick with heartburn and digestive problems. What this means is that even livestock are being forced to eat an unnatural diet of corn and soybeans without regard to their health. The lectins all end up in their milk or meat, which humans consume. What's particularly problematic to humans are the lectins in beans and other legumes, wheat, and other grains. This is because humans have yet to develop immunological tolerance to lectins. Furthermore, humans don't have the full capacity to break down these harmful proteins. As a result, numerous health problems arise, with gastric distress as the leading diagnosis. It's not enough to know what's being eaten. It's also important to know what that plant and animal was fed with while they were being raised. This is because what they consume is passed into the body and is incorporated into human cells. The process, good or bad, has a direct effect on human health. Are humans helpless in this war between plant and animal? The answer is a resounding no. While lectins have the ability to mess up and confuse the body's internal messaging system, humans and animals still have a defense system in place to help protect against the toxic effects of lectins. This system consists of 4 lines of defense. 1. Mucus in the nose. 2. Stomach acid. 3. Bacteria in the mouth and gut. And 4. A layer of mucus produced by cells in the intestines. These 4 lines of defense are effective in fighting off lectin. They prevent lectins from completely attacking the body. Knowing what types of foods contain lectins can help minimize their consumption and avoid devastating effects. Correcting the missteps in food consumption can help make the defense strategy work to the fullest. The Plant Paradox program is a microbiome and mitochondria-centric program that recommends the right plant foods prepared the right way and eaten in the right amounts. Certain animal proteins are included in the form of wild seafood. The program is essentially a learning and application journey to remove the offending proteins in the diet to start healing the body and keeping it healthy. Key takeaway: not all plants are good for the body. Some fruits and vegetables are toxic. Plants have defense mechanisms to prevent humans and animals from eating them. Like humans, plants have survival instincts. Lectin is the highly toxic protein that plants use as a weapon against predators. Lectins mess up the body's internal messaging system, causing a breakdown in the cell process. Humans have 4 lines of defense to protect from lectin attack. They are mucus in the nose, stomach acid, bacteria in the mouth, and the layer of mucus in the intestines.